Today we will look at 4 things जो market को define करेंगे 2025 में and we'll try to see exactly how they might impact the markets. The goal of the video is that by the end we should be prepared for almost any major scenario that we can predict right now. The first trigger for Nifty is going to be the results in January, especially for IT stocks. See, over the last few months, Nifty ने बहुत correct किया है, but IT stocks are going on new highs. And this is very similar to what happened in 2021, the last time जब हमें एक बड़ा correction मिला था. उस वक्त भी Nifty started falling somewhere in October, but IT stocks made new highs till January of next year. It's only after the results in January that IT stocks started to correct, and वो fall finally 35% downside पे खत्म हुआ था within Nifty IT as a whole. Now, it's possible that with the high expectations that we have this year, IT stocks के results might disappoint again. And if that happens, we might as well see Nifty fall a lot more because over the past 3 months, as we just discussed, Nifty 12% सिर्फ इसी वजह से गिरा है क्योंकि IT stocks ज़्यादा नहीं गिरे. If the giants like TCS and Infosys start falling now, Nifty might end up correcting to 25,000, which is, in general, the expectation of most of the pundits out there. If that doesn't happen, however, then we're looking at a good first quarter, and then the trigger would be the US recession, which might hit sometime in the second quarter. Will it hit for sure? I cannot give you the answer to that. The only thing I know for certain is that it's going to be very difficult to predict. See, generally recessions किसी black swan event की वजह से ही शुरू होते हैं. If everything goes as it's planned, तो recessions कभी नहीं आएंगे. For example, 2008 का जो housing collapse था, वो एक black swan event था. Everyone knew there was a slowdown, but nobody thought housing prices इतने गिर जाएंगे, which was what started the cascading effect जिसने पूरे US market को collapse कर दिया था. Similarly, 1970s में जो re-inflation था, Paul Volcker के time पे, that is not something that anyone expected. That just came out of the blue, and that is what black swan events are. It is defined as a rare event that has a huge impact on society and can only be understood after it has occurred. So अभी मैं कितनी भी कोशिश करूं, मैं आपको एक जवाब नहीं दे सकता that this would be the black swan event. It might be China invading Taiwan, for which they've been planning for years. It might be that Donald Trump's tariffs finally piss off the whole world so much that they fight back. It could be that the de-dollarization जो India, Russia, China pursue कर रहे हैं, उसकी वजह से we end up getting sanctioned and that becomes a black swan event for countries like India, Russia and China. The exact cause will always be near impossible to predict. बट अगर इसमें से कुछ भी होता है तो इंडिया में एक 40% डाउनसाइड ओपन अप हो जाती है. अगर ये नहीं होता है however, then again we might see a very strong quarter and then it will all be about the domestic consumption within the country. We all know that इंडिया में domestic consumption गिर रही है, right? or at least growth slowdown हो रही है. And for us, for our GDP, 70% of it does come from domestic consumption. In fact, 23-24 में it accounted for more of the GDP than it did a year before. So we are even more dependent on domestic consumption now than we were a couple of years back. And अगर ये slowdown continue होता है, तो the company's earnings will take a hit. And that means we go into an earnings-led slowdown. अब ये earnings-led slowdown क्या होता है? See, as a stock price fluctuates up and down, कंपनी की अर्निंग्स भी वैसे ही फ्लक्चुएट कर सकती हैं एंड दैट कैन अप्लाई टू निफ्टी एज अ होल. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अभी निफ्टी एट अबाउट 22 times PE एंड एन EPS ऑफ 1100 सीम्स चीप. बट इफ दिस अर्निंग्स पर शेयर फॉल्स टू 1000, तो निफ्टी का PE इक्वलाइज करने के लिए सिर्फ वील हैव टू फॉल डाउन टू अबाउट 21,000. And to manage that without a PE devaluation is nearly impossible. क्योंकि जब earnings गिरेंगी तो the entire market will start devaluing India as an economy और फिर average PE नहीं मिलेगा हमें. तो हमें PE भी low मिलेगा, which means that fall stretches another 10% at least and we get to somewhere around 19,000. That is an earnings-led recession. And right now, we're at the edge of that kind of a slowdown. So इस budget में, if the government does not take huge capex measures, we might suffer a lot. But If that does not happen, if our domestic consumption does pick up again, if we also avoid the US recession, if we also avoid a black swan event, then we are looking at a very, very good 2025 again, which would take a lot of investors by surprise. And ye ho bhi sakta hai, because the whole world is expecting a recession. Almost everyone is saying a slowdown is coming. And वैसे cases में usually contradictory opinions work out. So I'm not ruling that out. But the best part is, no matter if we get a slowdown or not, long-term investors do not have to worry. We know that पहले 2 quarters जैसे भी जाएं, by the end of 2025, financial markets are not going to end, right? They will make a comeback. There will be huge gains to be made. We'll just have to stick it through. And just in case we do see a big collapse, a big recession, then the recovery will also work in one of 3 forms. We might either have a V-shaped recovery, a U-shaped recovery, or a W-shaped recovery. So V-shaped recovery is what we saw in the 2020 crisis. Stocks बहुत तेजी से गिरे and उतनी ही तेजी से they rose back. It's very difficult कि इस बार भी हमें ऐसी ही recovery मिलेगी because the stocks have run up a lot and the Fed has already cut rates. There's already a lot of liquidity. तो बहुत instruments नहीं एक V-shaped recovery को lead करने के लिए. More than likely, we'll see a U-shaped recovery. जहाँ markets एक बार गिरेंगे sharply, then they'll consolidate at some level and finally after that they'll rise back up again. This is what we saw in the 2000 dot-com bubble. वहाँ पर the markets consolidated for a good 3-4 years. I don't think उतना लंबा wait हमें करना पड़ेगा because information exchange has become much faster, but we'll have to consolidate at the bottom for a few months at the very least. And finally is the worst type of recovery, which is the W-shaped recovery. इसमें the markets crash, then they make a comeback but crash back again. This was the 2008 crisis, and this is the most devastating form of recovery, at least for traders, because as soon as the market gets close to new highs, everyone starts investing, and then the second crash just blows everyone out. That's what happens to giants during the great financial crisis. Now, even if we have a W-shaped recovery, it might end up taking a little bit longer, but the stocks will get to new highs again, which means no matter what happens in the first 6 months, there's no reason for us to panic. We can always just stay invested, ride the storm out, and at the end of it all, stocks will be back once again. With that said, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.